The portfolio closed out February with another all-time high, and this one felt different. We officially crossed the 1.75 million mark. One of those milestones that sneaks up on you and then suddenly feels huge when you see the number pop on the screen. And this is the part that I put you to sleep by crediting staying the course. But not today. Believe it or not, Mr. Bogle Jr. here stepped out of my usual do-nothing routine this month. We'll get into that and the usual February update. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Jeff Teeples, and here we aim to grow your wealth with simple, time-tested solutions. If you get value from these videos, do me a huge favor and suplex that like button with aggression. Subscribe if you haven't already, and consider joining the channel membership. Your support keeps the content flowing. You know what time it is. Let's grow. Farewell, Bitcoin. I decided to sell my BTCI last month, and I figured this video was the perfect time to finalize my thoughts about Bitcoin in general, once and for all. And my view has not changed since I first dug into the books and research years ago. I still think the end of the road for Bitcoin is zero, or close to it, and that it will eventually go down in the history books next to the other famous manias. Now, could it hit 500,000 before that point? Absolutely. Will it? I have no clue. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is worth whatever the next person is willing to pay for it. And that's the whole point. It doesn't produce anything or provide a service that ultimately puts the profits back in the pockets of the people that are holding it. That's why I see its long-term value trending towards zero. All that said, my own Bitcoin journey was positive. I did well, and it was a fun ride. I share the full breakdown in a community post if you're interested in seeing the details. I'll pin that community post down in the comments to this video. But for now, we've got more to get into. Portfolio overview. Quick reminder before we dive in, the spreadsheets that you're about to see in this video are available for free if you want to track your own journey. Link in the description below. Let's do it. As always, we're starting out here on E-Trade, my favorite online broker. It's a little bit old school, but it's nice and clean. It's third party, so it offers all the holdings, and it just gets the job done. I love it. A quick note though, M1 Finance is my favorite for a passive investor that wants to accumulate wealth on autopilot via target allocations, which is basically how I invested for 15 years. I just did it in E-Trade, manually. If you watch these videos all the time, you'll notice these positions look a little slimmer. We're down one and we'll get into that. And you notice that this S&P 500 fund, my nephew's, is still lurking here, trying to get him out on his own. He's 18 and he's one call away, so we'll see if it's gone next month. But my positions are down to 3 in E-Trade. I have SCHD and VGT in the retirement accounts between a Roth and a traditional IRA. And then QQQI is in the taxable, and it's the only holding there. And QQQI is a great holding in a taxable account because it keeps those dividends nearly tax-free, almost literally. I have a video coming soon. I'm so excited for that one. But you'll notice BTCI did bite the dust. I was forever on the fence on that one because I liked extracting the income, basically having a built-in sell strategy while also getting most of the upsides of Bitcoins over the years as it swings up and down. But when I saw that over half of the dividends were ordinary, non-qualified dividends instead of return of capital or qualified dividends, it just got me off the fence and I pulled the plug. So I'm now rolling with QQQI instead of taking the BTCI dividends to feed QQQI and SGOV over there in Chase where I keep my cash now. It's just easier to quickly have access to it in our checking and bill paying and all that kind of stuff. But VMFXX is a great option here in E-Trade if you keep cash here. It's just an extra day or two when you want to move it around. So that's a quick catch up for why things look different. And I'm not going to go over each of these individual positions in detail here because we're going to do that in Seeking Alpha anyway. But I will say that less my nephew's 4,500 here, we're about 1,035,000 out in E-Trade. And also a side note, the market is open. It is currently Monday and you'll see these numbers bouncing around as we record here. It was a busy weekend in the Teeples household and I was unable to record on Sunday like I normally normally do. The spreadsheet figures will be slightly different, and they will be the official source because it's as of market close on Friday. But for now, out to Seeking Alpha. And you can see here in the top left, we are out in Seeking Alpha. And before I dive into the portfolio, I want to quickly mention something I've been struggling to do, and that's pushing my affiliate link here. Now look, this does provide my small channel with some good income. It's not an official partner, an official sponsor yet. I just have a typical affiliate link. But here's the deal with Seeking Alpha. As you can see here, I aggregate my portfolio out to Seeking Alpha, and it makes it really easy to view on the phone. I can see at a glance if my collection of ETFs, for example, is beating VOO for the day, which right now it is. And my individual stocks, the HODL Factory, I can see if they are beating the market, which they're just behind today. And you'll see these moving around again, the market's open. But portfolio aggregation, I run all my screens, and here's proof right here actually. The HODL Factory quarterly, that's the one Hutch and I run each quarter to make decisions on the HODL Factory holdings. And I do my stock and ETF research out here. There's plenty of articles and information and awesome details when you want to dive deep into the holdings and growth history and trends, and it's simply the best one-stop shop for stocks and ETFs. I genuinely believe that. I've used it for years before this channel, and I do have a link pinned in the comment if you are interested in using it. You can support the channel for free by using the link, and it saves you money. But looking at that platform here on my all portfolios, you can see I section off the ETFs as I just explained. And when we drop them down, it's mostly E-Trade. And we also have our HSA, which is VUG. That's the best investing option in our opinion there in health equity. So with SCHD, we have a total of 15,209 shares at an average cost of $26.41. In reality, this is below 20, but I've mass moved it 3 times over the years. That's neither here nor there, and it doesn't really matter. But you can see the value right now is at $483,000. And then in our taxable account, as we saw in E-Trade, we have QQQI, and we do have 6,350 shares of this thing. I did roll the BTCI, sold half into this and partially into SGOV, so you'll see our cash position is bolstered later. And these QQQI shares are worth $333,300. A lot of threes there. And then VGT, my favorite ETF of all time. I am a tech bull. I've said that in many videos. You can see that we have 300 shares of this one at a ridiculously low $228 cost basis. And it's worth a total of just under $220,000. And now the HSA with VUG, we have just over 104 shares at an average cost of $303. Not too shabby, for a total of $48,300. You can see that the ETFs are worth $1,084. And now again, we separated out VOO just so we can see the competition here. Oh, and we're smoking it. Oh, come on, HODL. I need to keep talking. Maybe if I drag this on, we'll catch it for the day here. But dropping down VOO, our 401k holding, this is all outside of E-Trade. We have about 884 shares at an average cost of $423. Not too bad. And that's at $559,000. And then I alluded to the HODL Factory, and I didn't blab long enough to pass the market today, but we are smashing it overall. Now, the HODL Factory is my individual stocks, and we're about to jump over into M1 Finance, but those individual stocks, all fed by my YouTube money, by the way, thank you to all of you out there for supporting, is $36,700. And then our cash has increased by quite a bit to nearly $80,000. That was the beneficiary of selling some BTCI as well. So that funneled into QQQI for more cash flow and SGOV out there in Chase for more cash. And you can see when you put it all together, we're at $1,761,400. But for now, let's see how the HODL Factory is really done. Now, I primarily use Snowball Analytics to track my individual stocks. But one thing that's great, if you happen to use M1 Finance, they do have a time-weighted return, which is the perfect way to compare your performance to the total returns, like it matches total returns of Seeking Alpha or something like that, of other tickers during that duration. It doesn't care about the cash flows. It just looks at how have you done compared to the market. This is how, like Berkshire, for example, Buffett has been assessed over many, many years. It's all time-weighted, AKA total returns for the underlying holdings. Now we're starting out here on all, and you can see since inception, which is April of 2023, the HODL Factory, our individual stocks are up 96.5% to the market 72.7. So we've smashed the S&P 500 over our nearly 3 years. And then VT in that time, now it's been good lately, and we'll see that in a minute, but overall it's 67%, so we're crushing it. And then Mr. Buffett, well, most of the time, now Mr. Abel, is up about 50%. So we have smashed the competition. But looking at year to date only, we're up 10.5% to the market's 0.5%. So we're up 10% just this year. VT International has been smoking the market as well, is up 4%, and Berkshire is actually down. Wow, nearly 5%. That's pretty brutal. And again, this will vary from the spreadsheet because the market is open right now. The spreadsheet, I use this data to do the snapshots that you're about to see. This is the HODL Factory spreadsheet that I keep out there for absolutely free. You can track my journey and see all my moves and audit what I do. Make sure I'm doing what I say I'm doing. Linked in the description below. You can see we compare key metrics to VOO, and we're smashing it on dividend CAGRs, just ahead on yield. These are hypothetical because we haven't actually held them, but our holdings have outperformed VOO historically over 3, 5, and 10 years. Our PE ratio has shot up to 31.5 to the market's 27.7. And this is as of February 27th, by the way. So these numbers might vary a little real time. But you can see here the performance over the years versus these. I won't read them all, but just the year to date, we just saw that. And these are slightly different. Again, the market is open right now. Wow, Berkshire is way down today. Remember, it was -4. Everything else is pretty close as I eyeball this. And then the overalls here, you can see we're smashing the market. But this is always available to anyone to go look at, updated weekly. And it also includes every holding in the HODL Factory, which we don't cover in depth on these high-level portfolio updates, and how many shares we have of each and the value and all this good stuff. So feel free to come poke around out on this spreadsheet whenever you want. I initially put this out there because we only make quarterly moves, but if I'm late on dropping a video and people are following along or even investing in the HODL Factory, it was too late. So now you can come out and look every week if you're interested. And you can even try to outperform me if you really want to get chippy. And now we're out to my favorite part of all this tracking, and that's my spreadsheet, which you can download for absolutely free and track your own journey. I even have a tutorial video about how to use it if you're interested. Now here's all of the holdings as of Friday put into the spreadsheet. You can see VOO, the biggest, SCHD, and on down the list. Cash is a lot of sources. We have checking accounts, SGOV, high yield savings. So it comes in as multiple entries here. But when we hop over to the allocations tab, it is all put as one figure. And I love looking at this one to help drive decisions and just make sure we're at a good balance. So over here it's by ticker, and over here it's by category, and they're nearly the same thing at this point. And for example, you can see that VOO is 31.8%. And then as a cornerstone, roughly half value, roughly half growth. That's how I view cornerstones, VT, VTI, VOO, etc. It's also the same number because VOO is my only one. And same concept with value. We have SCHD here at 483,000 and 27%. Same concept, it's the only value. Cash flow with QQQI carries over. And you can see VGT and VUG roll into growth as they should. Cash is up to 4.5%. We'd love to see that at least 5%, slowly working on it. And then the HODL Factory, my YouTube money, thanks to all of you, is at 2.1% at that 36,000. And a lot of that's just, it's outperformed. And we're slowly chipping away at $100 a week contributions. That's the system. And showing here on the snapshots tab, this just looks every week. And we have a highlight if it's an all-time high. And if you are using the spreadsheet, I do these highlights manually. You can do some rules with some conditional formatting, but it's not worth it in my opinion. But you can see over the years, we go up and down and up and down and up and down, but mostly up. We're well under 1 million here at first, came millionaires, went back down in the 800s, you know, it's all over the map. We stay the course, we invest to our target allocations, and over time, all-time highs will be hit. This is why you don't go 100% Bitcoin or 100% SCHD. You always have a mix of growth and value and cornerstones. And if you want to, alternative assets at 5% or less. But we hit that amazing all-time high of 1.75 million for the first time ever. And then the value pivot is just showing more of the same. Over time, we're trending up. And again, we're red this year. We are on fire this year. And so far, it is a good fire. It's a good thing. It's like hitting a bunch of threes in a row. It's not the nothing to see here, everything burning in the background fire. We're at an average of 1.746 million for our February updates. And it's just the monthly average of all the entries each week. And you can see that that's an all-time high. And the purple was higher and the green was higher. As we go back years, you can see that we're staring up in the world. And eventually we're going to drop down, but over time, this thing will trend up. And then my favorite tab by a pretty wide margin here is the projections tab. It's a real-time projection. We're not actually trying to predict what's going to happen, out here in 30 years from now. And I say that because it takes your current amount as year zero, your current value, and then our monthly contributions. A lot of this is company match from HSA and 401k. I wish we could put in this much of our own money these days, but we ultimately get about $4,000 putting in 2 point something K of ours. And I assume an 8% nominal return to a full 2% below the market average over the last 100 years. Again, this does not include inflation. And to that keyboard warrior that argued with me last video, just save it. It's conservative. I can't explain it to you. Inflation is accounted for separately in a different module for me. I like to highlight big, huge milestones. You can probably see here what these are. And then our retirement goal for the wife is to have $3 million. And this lovely thing shows that we have tracked for 4.2 years. And our actual lifetime CAGR, no estimates at all, is right below 17%. If that continued, which is no guarantee, it would be 3.4 years at our current pace to retire in July of 2029. Realistically, if the returns dumb down a little bit, this could be another year or 2 or 3. So we never know what's going to happen, but assuming that the trend continues, we're at 3.4 years. I love that. And it's dynamic. You can put in any goal and it shows with what's happened, how long it will take to get to the finish line. Time to jump into our favorite and recently amplified section of the video. Dividends received. I don't see the forecast changing anytime soon since we added QQQI to the mix. It is still pouring dividends. Okay, looking here at February of 2026, we had nearly $4,500 of dividend income compared to $1,400 last year and $1,300 the year before. And now let's drop down on February just to make sure that everything's looking right. You can see last year we had JEPQ for our cash flow position, and we moved that into QQQI for tax reasons. We're in a taxable account there, and it's just better, I've found. And again, video dropping next week about that. But that was a huge jump, obviously. We put a focus on that since I decided to retire and my wife is still working. And most of our cash was in VMFXX last year, almost 400. This year it's an SGOV and only 100. So you can see we're pretty cash poor by comparison, but the federal funds rates and thus the interest rates of these funds have dropped as well. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but we are lower. And then our high yield savings account is also down quite a bit, 90 this year, 175 last year. And really the focus has been put on QQQI and trickling that cash flow back into build cash. So we gambled short term to have a better flowing situation for paying bills and living life long term. And then the HODL Factory has been really fun to see. We've gone from $6 in 2024 to $13 last year to $29 this year. So we're really ramping that thing up and that feels great. I think that's it. February is a pretty boring month. None of the quarterlies pay. But when you zoom out and just look as a whole, we've 3x'd our income so far through 2 months compared to last year. And we're at 9,200 on the year so far. Last year we ended at 53,000. And you can see we ramped it up towards the end with the QQQI and at the time BTCI as well. Whereas the year before we ended at 35,000, which is pretty solid. I don't want to make any guesses this year. I haven't looked at it yet, but I know the number's gonna be a lot bigger than this one. That's for sure. The cash is flowing and growing and I'm loving it. There's one more thing I wanted to touch on in this one. Looking ahead. I should be releasing a video each of the next 5 Fridays if everything goes as planned. In that mix is a video I'm genuinely excited about. My thoughts on the newest addition to my retired portfolio, QQQI. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this is the most excited I've ever been to make a video on this channel. I love this ETF, and I have a couple unique tidbits to share about what makes it so powerful. So look forward to that one, along with a few other staples in the coming weeks. And speaking of unstoppable staples, a huge shout out to my channel members. We are 33 strong and you are more appreciated than ever. And particularly, a shout out to Turf Guru Dallas for joining the membership recently. Full disclosure and none of the mushy stuff this month, this is my favorite kind of support. But you members are now 23% of my required revenue, and I'm on the bubble, I am not going to lie. So thank you for making this channel possible. I mean that very literally. And be sure to check out one of these two videos to support the channel, but more importantly, to continue down your path towards financial freedom. Remember, money is overrated. Freedom is not. Thanks for watching. Best of luck with your portfolio, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.